Hey everybody, my name is Phillip Shepard. I'm a local real estate agent located right here in Northwest Arkansas. And today we're talking about there's going to be a lot of housing markets that are not going to be doing well in 2023, but there are only a couple that have been noted that are actually going to increase in 2023. And guess which one made the list? So let's talk about that. But before we begin, if you like this video and also subscribe, that would make the world of difference. I try to produce as much content as humanly possible about Northwest Arkansas, obviously. Also, maybe you haven't come down to Northwest Arkansas just quite yet. So I made something called the NWA Starter Pack, and it sounds exactly what it is. It's a starter pack full of all the amazing things of Northwest Arkansas. So maybe you're asking, like, what are the schools like? What is housing like? What are all the events coming up here? What are the cities like? All the different things you want to know about a brand new place when you think about moving here. I made something called the NWA Starter Pack. Obviously, very cool. It sounds exactly what it is. So enter your name below, your address, where can I ship this package to? And I'll make sure to get that package shipped to you right away. Also, a little bit of a tidbit. It does come with your first free mountain bike, so that's pretty fun. And also, as well, my favorite thing, it is my favorite four-letter F word, free! So enter your address below and I'll make sure to get that package shipped to you right away. All right, so the National Association of Realtors, NAR, National Association of Realtors, put out a report stating what are some of the bigger areas of growth in 2023. Because obviously, as you're probably aware, there's a lot of areas, most parts of America are in either stagnant, like they're not going to do anything, or they're in a part of decline. Like San Francisco is potentially going to lose 15% value. Other parts of California are obviously as well. Other parts of America are not doing so hot. Obviously, people are kind of leaving those areas. But number 4 on the list is Northwest Arkansas. Out of all the places in America, number 4 is Northwest Arkansas. So the way this video is going to be structured is the first thing we're going to talk about is the actual structure and like criteria that the National Association of Realtors use to kind of identify these markets. The second part is going to be why Northwest Arkansas. And it's going to be a little surprising what we're going to talk about, meaning like it's not going to be like the more obvious stuff per se. And the second thing we're going to talk about is why Northwest Arkansas. Obviously, that's the big question, is why NWA. And the third thing we're going to talk about is what does this mean for relos, people moving from different parts of America into Northwest Arkansas. And maybe that's you, maybe that isn't you, but we need to talk about what that looks like in your market at the moment. All right, so number 1 is let's go through some of the criteria. I'll be looking at my computer screen over here, but let's look at some of the criteria that the actual Association of Realtors actually limited down and said, here's what we're looking for when it means like these markets that are going to be growing exponentially in 2023. So the first thing they mentioned was better housing affordability. Obviously, no shocker here when it comes to NWA specifically. Number 2 is greater numbers of renters who can afford to buy a median price home. And this aligns exactly what Northwest Arkansas is trying to do, is because they're trying to make more affordable housing for both rentals and home ownership. Obviously, that's been part of the package for many, many years, and it's been reinstated with the Northwest Arkansas Council the last year, like they want to make sure housing always stays affordable. Stronger job growth, obviously. Faster growth of information industry jobs. So that means like more technology is kind of the fancy way of saying that. So big tech jobs. Higher shares of information industry, so tech, in the respective local GDP. So obviously gross domestic product. So basically growing in more information, space, tech, in some fashions, GDP when it comes to NWA specifically. And then migration gains. Shares of worker teleworking, and that goes exactly with what Northwest Arkansas was trying to do last year, was obviously bring a bunch of remote workers into the area and obviously incentivizing them with a Bitcoin, a bike, and even sometimes cash. So that worked out very well. Faster population growth, faster growth of active housing inventory, and then obviously smaller housing shortages. So that's the criteria that the actual NAR used to define what are those areas. And number 4 was Northwest Arkansas. So that's the first part. The second part is going to be the why. So this is part number 2. And this is actually, I feel, the more important actual study of this, all the actual talk about this. So the actual what NAR talks about is the actual outcomes of the things that are undergirding everything. And so we're going to talk about what has Northwest Arkansas done to create those actual things, to create those results. And because we can list on here to say, oh yeah, NWA has great job growth. It has affordable housing. It has, a great GDP. It has, big migration gains. But the real question is why? What has NWA done that's so specific and unique to itself that has allowed this? So just to clarify, NWA doesn't have the major firepower like Atlanta does. It doesn't have the major firepower that Dallas does. I mean, it does have a lot of businesses in the area. We have Walmart, J.B. Hunt, Tyson, which is a huge advantage. But at the same time, we're not Atlanta. We're not Dallas. We're not, big metropolitan cities. But why did NWA make the list itself? And so the first thing I want to point out is the fact that for the last 10 to 15 years, NWA has done a fantastic job of making solid infrastructure. So, a lot of times where I've come from, I moved from Chicago. Chicago was always playing the catch-up game, always building, always doing stuff. And they're always playing, they're building roads and then building bigger roads and then bigger roads. And it's okay, well, what happens if you actually have kind of plan the area out? Who'd have thought? And actually build roads sustainable for a larger population growth so you don't have to keep redoing the same stuff over again. And that's what NWA has done specifically, has developed a good infrastructure here. Now, they are always making improvements because, there is areas that they didn't expect to grow, they did grow, so they're obviously, shuffling those areas around and making sure things are done right. But the core structure of everything is done very well, and the infrastructure is done very well here. So the second thing within the why section is the fact that there's so much to do. And I talk about this on my channel a lot, so I don't need to obviously go on and on about it, but there's so much to do, whether it comes to outdoor stuff, indoor stuff, biking trails, mountain climbing, we obviously kayaking, swimming, fishing, and a lot of indoor stuff too. We have a lot of businesses when it comes to if you want to learn how to swim inside of obviously an indoor place. We have a lot of gyms, we have a lot of rock climbing places, we have a lot of bars, breweries, food places, restaurants. The whole thing, there's so much to do, even obviously places to dance, karaoke places. It's littered with things to do, both indoors and outdoors. And so when it comes to the undergirding of why, that is a big part of it. And we've encouraged so many businesses to move here to do that and build businesses here. And so it's created such a huge, great environment for people to live, work, and play. Speaking of live, work, and playing, obviously jobs are a big factor. Now that's because obviously there's been a lot of money injected here with startup culture and different stuff like that with big businesses moving here. We obviously have Walmart, JB Hunt, Tyson, the big three, of course, plus a lot of mid-sized companies that are just kind of unknown when it comes to manufacturing and transportation. So there's a big part of NWA that isn't always glamorized because of Walmart, JB Hunt, Tyson. We have a lot of mid-sized companies that do a lot of manufacturing here, or that do very interesting things in the medical side that isn't big on the Forbes front of newspaper stuff. So it encourages a lot of jobs here as well, of course. And this kind of dovetails off the last one, but obviously Arkansas and NWA specifically really encourages business. It really, really encourages business. They obviously cut red tape. They make sure they kind of give you the red carpet if you want to open a business. There's a lot of startup money between all the organizations around here that will fund your businesses. And on top of that, obviously, if you want to go solo and start your own business yourself and then have customer service, there's NWA is one of those unique areas where it really believes, it actually walks the walk and talks the talk, saying basically they invest into small businesses. So a good example is we don't have a lot of Starbucks around the area. There are Starbucks, but there's not a whole lot of them. We really invest into a lot of locally sourced coffee shops. That's a big deal around here. Banks. We don't have, it sounds kind of a funny thing, but we don't have a lot of big chain banks here. We have mostly local banks. There's a lot of bakeries that are only just obviously bakers for local stuff. A lot of the restaurants here aren't big chains. They're actually grown out of NWA specifically. So a lot of the NWA people here invest and buy into and purchase places in Northwest Arkansas because that's what we want to do here. And last about the why side of everything is the fact that it's been super, super intentional about what is happening in Northwest Arkansas. So obviously NWA try to compete on a more of a wider scale of trying to bring people here because of all the amazing things that are happening here. But we also have to compete on a business side of Atlanta and Dallas and other bigger places in America. But the reason that it's been so successful is the fact that it's been super intentional, hiring actual area planners, hiring city planners, developing a map, developing where things should go, what is going to be zoned here, cutting red tape. And so they're making things very intentional and making it easy to grow, but at the same time actually making it sustainable for the long term. And so it's been planned, and that's part of the reason why I moved down here was because the fact that it's been so intentional of what they've done here. And it's amazing to see the intentionality and the plan work itself out. They've done a great job of actually working the plan and then sticking to it. So it's really fascinating to see the area grow so well. Whoa, before we jump on to the next point, I have something brand new called Instant Home Updates. So maybe you're looking to move down to Northwest Arkansas and you're using things like Realtor.com or Zillow.com. Way too slow. Notifications, way too slow. That's why I made something called Instant Home Updates, and it sounds exactly what it is. It's Instant Home Updates. I know, wild concept. So enter your information below, obviously square footage, what are you looking for, the special areas you're looking for. So enter your information below, and also make sure you don't miss a single notification when it comes to house hunting, both for rentals and for home buying in Northwest Arkansas. Also, every single Friday I send an email just kind of talking about all things NWA, all things Northwest Arkansas. So if you want to keep up to date with all the obviously musicians coming here, all the concerts, all the events, all the new businesses, all the cool things that are happening in the downtown squares, if you want to keep on top of that, enter your email below and I send an email just kind of talking about that every single Friday. little side note, you might get a little fear of missing out, you might get a little FOMO, but I'll make sure you're the most informed person eventually when you make your way down to Northwest Arkansas. And last part of this, and this is a quick little bit, what does it mean for people reloading here? So obviously maybe you're in a different environment where the housing isn't doing so well. Personally, it's one of those things where I'd say like sell your house and move to Northwest Arkansas, but obviously that'd be the hope of it. I would just be very cautious of areas where you think that are not going to do well. Just be aware. I don't know those markets at all. I'm not there, obviously, but I would just say be cautious, be aware. And if you have the plans to move to Northwest Arkansas, I would say do sooner than later, obviously. And because obviously NWA is on a huge upswing with a bunch of other places in America as well. But NWA is definitely, I would consider, the best place to live in America, of course. That's why I moved here. But obviously, if you're coming from different areas, I would just be cautious about making sure you sell your house at a good time, sooner than later, and then making your way down to Northwest Arkansas. So I have a couple different videos linked below as well. Maybe you're obviously moving here. I've talked about videos on how to move here, how to move to NWA, how to some of the secret hacks of moving here, how to make it more affordable. So I'll enter that obviously links below in the link below, and so maybe check on those as well. But yeah, so if you're looking to relo here, just be cautious of the housing market. Make sure you sell sooner than later. I would hate for you not to be able to sell and move to Northwest Arkansas. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you are thinking about coming down to Northwest Arkansas, download my 3-day itinerary link below. Maybe you're an adventurer, maybe you're a sports person, maybe you're a foodie, maybe you're a sightseer, maybe you have kids. There's a 3-day itinerary link down below for you. So go ahead and download it and use it when you get down here. Also, when you do come down here, I can give you the $10 tour so I can kind of show you around the whole area. Plus, we can check out some homes for sale or for rent and see how far your dollar will go in Northwest Arkansas compared to where you're coming from. All right, guys, I'll see you next one.